You know, you lock your house, you lock your car. You wouldn't just hand over your keys to a complete stranger, right? But online, we all have these digital keys to our accounts, and we might be leaving them exposed without even knowing it. So let's dive into how thieves can actually steal these keys and, well, take over your digital life.
I mean, think about it for a second. You log into your email once in the morning, and you can close that tab, open it back up, and you don't have to type in your password over and over again. That convenience, it's all powered by something called a session. And it's both incredibly useful and, as you might guess, a huge target for attackers.
So to really get a grip on how this all works, let's use an analogy. I want you to think of your online account like a secure hotel. And to get into your room, you first have to prove who you are at the front desk.
And this slide right here breaks it down perfectly. Your password, that's your credential. It's like showing your ID at the hotel check-in. You do it one time to prove you are who you say you are. In return, what do you get? You get a session token, which is basically that temporary electronic keycard for your room. Now, you don't have to flash your ID every single time you want to get in. You just tap the keycard. That token is what lets you stay logged in. So where is this digital keycard actually stored? Well, it's kept in a tiny little text file on your computer called a cookie. Every time your browser talks to that website, it just flashes the cookie, your session ID, to prove you've already been authenticated. The cookie is literally the thing carrying your temporary key. So, if the session cookie is your key card, then session hijacking is pretty much what it sounds like. It's the act of someone stealing it. And just like in the real world, thieves have some really clever ways of getting their hands on it. Let's walk through some of the most common attacks. First up is one of the oldest tricks in the book, and it's especially relevant anytime you're using public Wi-Fi. Okay, picture this. You're at a coffee shop, you hop on their free Wi-Fi. If that connection isn't properly encrypted, and a lot of public networks aren't, an attacker on that same network can use software to sniff or just listen in on all the data flying through the air. So when your browser sends that session cookie to a website, the attacker can just pluck it right out of thin air. This is also called sidejacking, and believe me, it is shockingly easy to do on an insecure network. Now this next method, this one's a lot more sinister, because it actually abuses the trust you have in a website you think is safe. With cross-site scripting, or XSS, an attacker finds a vulnerability on a legitimate website, maybe in the comments section or a forum post, and they inject their own malicious piece of code. So when you visit that page, your browser just loads it and runs the code, having no idea that it's malicious. That script can then be told to grab your session cookie and send it straight to the attacker. The scary part is, this all happens on a site you normally trust.
And finally, we've got a really clever multi-step attack that completely flips the script on how you think about theft.
Okay, this one is a bit of a mind bender, so stick with me. Instead of stealing your session ID, the attacker gives you theirs. First, they go to a website and get a fresh, unused session ID. Then, they trick you, maybe through a phishing email, into clicking a link that secretly uses that ID. You land on the real login page. Everything looks normal, you type in your username and password. But here's the problem. You just attached your login credentials to a session ID that the attacker already knows. The session is now fixed to their key, and they can just waltz right in. All right, so those are some pretty scary ways someone can get a hold of your session. The good news is, we can build much better digital keycards. There are these specific security features we can add to cookies called flags that make them dramatically harder to steal. First is the HTTP-only flag. This is a simple but incredibly powerful instruction. It tells the browser, hey, this particular cookie should only ever be sent back to the server. Under no circumstances should you let any scripts running on the page, like JavaScript, see it. This is a direct countermeasure to that XSS attack we just talked about. If the malicious script tries to read the cookie, the browser just says, nope, access denied. Next up is the secure flag. This one directly takes on network sniffing. A cookie with the secure flag will only be sent by your browser if the connection is encrypted using HTTPS. So if you're back at that coffee shop on their unsecured Wi-Fi and try to connect to a site over plain unencrypted HTTP, the browser will literally hold on to the cookie, preventing it from ever being sent out in the open where an attacker could grab it. And finally, there's the same site attribute. This one's a little more complex, but it's super important. It basically tells your browser whether or not it should send a cookie along with a request that was started from a different website. This is one of the best defenses we have against a whole other category of attacks, where a malicious site tries to trick your browser into doing things on another site where you're already logged in. Now, securing the cookie itself is a huge step forward, but it's really only half the battle. The website server also has to be built like a fortress. Let's look at how these server-side defenses add another crucial layer of security.
You see, a truly secure server doesn't just hand out a keycard and then hope for the best. It actively manages them. It should rotate session IDs, meaning every single time you log in, you get a brand new one. That completely shuts down session fixation. It should also enforce timeouts, so a stolen session key eventually just expires and becomes useless. The keys themselves, they should be super long and totally random, making them impossible to guess. And maybe most importantly, there has to be a kill switch, a way to immediately revoke a key if you even suspect it's been stolen.
Okay, we have gone through the threats, we've gone through the defenses. Let's put this all together into one ultimate checklist. This is what a robust modern session security strategy really looks like. The most crucial takeaway here is that good security is all about layers. It starts with, number one, encrypting everything with HTTPS, no exceptions. Then you harden the cookie with those secure HTTP only and same-site flags. On the server side, you're constantly rotating IDs and enforcing strict timeouts. Of course, you have to prevent the initial vulnerabilities, like XSS in the first place. And finally, you have to assume a breach might happen anyway, which means you need good logging and a plan to respond the second something looks wrong.
Every single one of those items on that checklist is a link in a security chain. A failure in just one can bring the whole thing crashing down. Protecting a session isn't about one single trick or gadget, it's about building a tough, multi-layered system where every single part works together to protect those incredibly important digital keys.